Now, I'm sure the professionals have a better way to cut the blocks, but I'm not a professional, so I don't. So if you have a better way to cut them, please let me know in the comments, because this is the only thing I could figure out. So I have one of these. It's just a grind wheel, and it's a diamond blade. It works pretty well. First thing I do is I just have a rock. I guess you could use a pencil or whatever, but I mark where I need to cut, and on these particular blocks I have to cut it here at the end for the pieces that I'm going to cut. Okay, cut here, and then for there, and it's here. Okay, so I got to cut there and there, and then this will be one portion. So then I take this and I cut it all the way around. I wanted to talk about the grinder that I was using for a little bit. It was this tool shop grinder that I got from Menards, and you can see it's 4.3 amps. It ended up breaking about on the last couple blocks of the project. This angle grinder ended up just biting the dust. It would not turn on anymore. It would stop when I was trying to cut it. It just didn't have the power to cut the blocks. I ended up buying this 8 amp version, and it cut way better for not that much more of a price, and it made it through cutting. It just made life so much easier. But and this was small enough where it allowed me to cut on the inside of the blocks. But I do wonder if this 15 amp one that you get what, 7 to 9 inch blades. So you could use 9-inch blades on this. And I just think that that might be easier. You might be able to get all the way through the block. Now you would use more, because on this other one I only cut around the edges. On this 8 amp I cut around the edges and I split it the block. Here you might be able to just cut right through, and since it's 15 amp, it might cut through a lot faster. It's just something to think about. Once I get it cut, take a chisel and a hammer, and I'm on the bottom of it, and I hammer it. I need to put this over something hard here, hard part. Give it a coat of wax. And that is cut. Not done yet. Now I have to cut this side. And this side, it's got to be like 3.5 inches. So from right here. This, and then this side goes straight back. So this is one I already cut. Do pretty much the same thing. Here I go with another amazing drawing, everybody. I went to find the um, sheet that I used when I built this wall, and apparently they don't do this anymore. And I know why they don't do this anymore. Now they have it where instead of cutting the blocks at the corners, you need 2 blocks to make 1 corner. You buy just a corner block, which would have been preferable, actually. But their corner block forms a 90-degree angle, but that's fine. But that's not the way they did it. That's not the way I was able to do it. This is the way they had it for me when I did mine, and I'll show you why they probably changed it, because I had a little bit of trouble with this. But this is what I did, and this is why I'm cutting. So the green here is a block. Okay, this is block number 1, this is block number 2, and those 2 blocks create block number 3. Now the green is like my quick drawing of one of their blocks, and these black lines here are where we cut with the saw, just bzz there and bzz there, and that creates this purple piece here, and this purple piece is this purple piece. All right, and then for the second block we cut there and there. And see, this is a textured outer portion. So if you have a corner, you have this textured piece here that goes right here. So this piece just rotates there, and we have those 2 cuts. It rotates into place there, and now we have a corner block that we can now place another block here, and we have a textured surface all around. And I know why they went away from this, because I had a little bit of problem with this. Is you cannot tamp the rock here because it separates here and you get a little gap here, and I'm guessing over time this gap is going to get bigger and bigger. I do have a solution for that, though. My solution is you have some of these blocks saved up, and you crush these blocks into like a gravel, and you caulk where this gap is forming. Just run a big thick bead of caulk in there, and then push the dust into the outer area of that caulk, and that'll fill in any gaps that form over time in this. And you'll probably have to just keep that up. And there was one where somebody was helping me, and they were tamping the rock, and they over tamped it, and a gap formed. So that's what I did there. And with the rock on the outer, you're using that masonry caulk, you can't even really tell that there's a gap there. Once you push the gravel from these crushed up blocks into that, you can't even tell. But that's the way they had me do it. Back. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, when you're cutting, try to hold your breath. Don't breathe that stuff in. And also try to cut, like I'm cutting where there's a pretty good breeze right here. Okay, so I have my blocks now. Okay guys, I ended up deciding to go ahead and just do a voiceover and lower the volume on the video because there's a lot of dragging and scraping going on. So here I am lining up the block to see, how inaccurate my cut is. So I know that I have to take more off. Sometimes it's better and sometimes it's worse. This one ended up being pretty uneven. So what I'm going to do is even out that gap that was there, and I'm cutting it in like a grid formation to knock it out. If we have a bigger cutting wheel, you can probably do a more accurate cut all the way through there, and you don't have to do all this. This whole video combined, like doing this one block, took me about 30 minutes. So it takes me about 30 minutes to do one corner block. That's how labor intensive this method is, and that's why it's probably better to just have a saw that you can, a large saw that you could do at one big angle easily. And here I'm using a hammer to knock out those cubes. I don't know what to call them, but just knocking that out, breaking that down so that that gap is a perfect smooth gap. It's just, you know, how nice of a edge you want to have. Now, the corner blocks that they sell now completely eliminate this. So here I am looking at it again, and I just needed a little bit more cleanup there. So I'm working on the other block side now, and it was like pushed out, so I just whack it with the front edge of the hammer there. It dulls the hammer a little bit, but it really chips up that block really good, takes out the uneven surfaces. And here I'm whacking it again from another angle. I didn't know the camera was so shaky when I was recording here. I apologize. It's shaky like you're in some kind of war movie or something going on here. Let's see how it goes, and I think that might be it. But so I'll reiterate here. So that looks pretty good there. Oh, I do end up grinding the tip down a little more. So there was like you can see like a tiny gap there. You see that? It was like a millimeter gap, and I don't want a millimeter gap. I want it to be perfect. There was a millimeter on the top, millimeter on the bottom. So I just grinded it down with that diamond wheel, just like that. Take it all the way down to nothing, and that was it. It was completely finished there. And in the next video, you'll see this corner block. I think it's actually buried, so most of it was buried, so you wouldn't really see much. If this video helped you, please help me by liking and subscribing. And in the next video, I think we're gonna do another row. I hope to see you guys there. Thank you.